acting out is. And of course, some people are this way too. We've all known people that will push, 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 push until someone takes charge and says, enough. Well, the same is true with some dogs, most dogs really. That dog needs people around. And,
Oh, yeah.
And I'll bet you dollars to donuts, he's happiest when he has a job and he's told what to do, whether it's
sit,
retrieve the Frisbee, sit. Sometimes that's what it is.
Go lay down.
Okay, I'll sit. Okay, you told me what to do.
Yeah.
Sometimes it is that, yeah. And that's sometimes an unfamiliar concept for us. We all like freedom and no boundaries and whatnot, but truth be known, we need our structure too. And animals sometimes remind us of that.
And he can't go to bed, you know, like your dogs, they won't go to bed until they go to the hospital. He cannot go to bed till I let him underneath the covers. And then he'll go to, it freaks him out, he'll be up all night if he's not underneath the covers. Second he's underneath, he's fine.
You know, Jackie may disagree with me. She's got much more horse owning experience than I do, but I will oftentimes think of horses as big dogs, because horses need their job to do too. And of course, horses they're a herd animal, but they like to have structure and they like to have order in their life, and especially working horses. They like a certain rhythm to their day and their routine. And Jackie, have you owned a working horse in your lifetime?
Not really.
Yeah.
I mean, all saddle horses.
Yeah.
One of my horses, came from Fort Devens. Her mother was remounted at Fort Devens, and she was there as a young'un.
Yeah.
And she liked structure. If food wasn't there on time, or if certain things weren't done, then she wasn't happy. She also had to be the leader of the pack.
Okay.
And you'll find that with animals, there's some that
Certainly.
will hang back and others that have to be boss.
Yeah.
There's also, well, you know my Natasha. She was the one that you found for me because, again, a sad story. But even after I took the door off the crate was safety. If something didn't go right, she'd go into the crate. Or if she misbehaved, I'd tell her time out, and she'd go into the crate and sit there and look at me. But this was a pretty sad dog, and when I got her.
Yeah.
So.
I'll just end with one interesting horse story. Again, on my wife's side of the family. My father-in-law, as an infant, well, my wife grew up in rural Ohio, and her family still has some farms out there and whatnot. And my father-in-law was born in the 20s, and as an infant, they were still plowing the fields with a team of horses. And there was one area of the field that they were plowing just with a single horse. And my wife's grandmother had set her infant son down in the field while she went to do something, and she didn't realize that this workhorse was coming along. And she was over quite some distance from where she'd set him down, and this workhorse came along and looked at him and just stepped right over him.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, as a little infant, you know. But it's just an interesting animal story, you know. This horse had horse sense, and he knew he had to get around this little baby. And this was the same woman who befriended the spider. But I want to thank you for, yes?
Can you train a deaf dog?
Certainly.
Yes.
Certainly.
I have a girlfriend that's got a Jack Russell Terrier, very hyper.
Yeah,
And she's blind and deaf.
Mhm.
She wasn't trained as a puppy anyway.
Mhm.
She wasn't, cage trained or anything.
Yeah.
But she wants to go get the cat
Yeah.
all the time. You have to lock the cat in the bedroom to let him out that way.
They certainly can be trained, but it requires, again, a patience and a commitment and a dedication to the endeavor. And I think, arguably, a bit of sensitivity to what needs to be brought into that conversation with that animal. Because we all have a conversation in life. If some of us are deaf, well, we rely on other cues. We rely on our sense of smell, our sense of sight, other things. And the same is true with animals. And that dog certainly can be worked with. And another thing is a blind animal. A blind animal will do fine in a home. You just can't rearrange the furniture frequently. Yes, good.
My daughter has a young friend in her 50s who is deaf herself, but she trains her cats with sign language. Not that they just know this means out, or this means stop, or they don't hear anything, but it might work in reverse. That's all.
Well, I want to thank you for your time today.
Thank you.
And I do have those catnip mice. And I'm going to leave some treats here. These are some things that were sent to us from one of our suppliers, and it's just a little training reward treat. Little packets of them for dogs.
Do they have peanut butter in them?
Pardon me?
Do they have peanut butter in them?
You put peanut butter, sure.
I said, do they?
Oh, I don't know if they do. And these are, Jackie Jones could tell you, but these are little kits for making a catnip mouse. And they've got the catnip on there, and there's some fabric, and there's some instructions.
You just
Here.
do the blanket stitch on the top.
Yeah, it's really quite simple. But
They have to be.
I assure you the cats will go for them. And one of the I'll give you a little tip on catnip. When a cat grows weary of playing with the catnip mouse, if you take the catnip mouse and put it in a Ziploc bag and put it in the freezer overnight, there's something about the freeze-thaw cycle that will kind of re-energize the cat. So give that a try sometime. But I'll leave all these here with you.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're
very much.
welcome. You're welcome.
What about a dog eating the catnip?
I wouldn't give it a second thought. It wouldn't trouble me in the least. I'm sure it wouldn't trouble the dog. I didn't talk about leashes, but when I meet with families that just get a new puppy in their home, I frequently will ask the parents, who asked for the dog? Well, it's usually the kids. The kids want a pet, and I'll remind the parents that they need to give and task the children with responsibility of pet ownership. And that means that the child needs to learn how to use a leash and walk the dog and learn to develop a repertoire of trust between the dog and the child so that the dog will become obedient to the child, and the child will learn the lesson of leadership, of what it means to be kind to an animal and trusting with an animal so that that animal will want to follow the child. And it's a nice thing to see unfold within a family, and to see a pet be a part of a child's life, and, a positive influence there. So, but back to the leash. So the process begins initially with using a leash, and I like these slip leashes because they're essentially a choke collar and a leash all in one, and it's a nice length for keeping a dog on a short leash, as it were, training them with some leadership. So I'll leave some of these here with you if any of you could use one. But thank you.
You have been listening to Dr. Christopher Meehl, who's given a presentation on Best Pets for Seniors, February 27th, 2009, at the O'Leary Senior Center in North Reading, Massachusetts.